Is the Vatican the real throne of Satan? Is the Vatican the Harlot Mother Church of the Book of Revelation? Malachi Martin says that the devil was enthroned in the Church of Rome. Was he right? Welcome, dear friends, to another Christ-centered prophecy study. Kindly like and share this timely message to all. Revelation 18 verse 2. And he cried out with a mighty voice saying, Babylon is fallen, is fallen. She has become a dwelling place of demons and a prison of every unclean spirit. Evidently, this awful malignancy is so far advanced that Satanism has reached the papacy itself and has seriously affected the rank and file of nuns and priests in the USA and throughout the globe. Untold numbers of outright Satan worshippers are now masquerading as Catholic clergy while secretly paying homage to Lucifer. Malachi Martin is an eminent theologian, expert on the Catholic Church and former Jesuit and professor at the Vatican's Pontifical Biblical Institute. He is the author of the national bestsellers Vatican the Final Conclave and The Hostage to the Devil. Here are his writings and statements about the enthronement of Satan in the Vatican. Anybody who is acquainted with the state of affairs in the Vatican in the last 35 years is well aware that the Prince of Darkness has had and still has his surrogates in the court of St. Peter in Rome. These allegations have largely gone unnoticed, possibly because he was so crafty in his descriptions that he might even been referring to the coronation of Pope VI. But he revealed much more about this alleged ritual in one of his last works, Windswept House, a Vatican novel, 1996. In this story, he vividly described a ceremony called the enthronement of the fallen angel Lucifer, supposedly held in St. Paul's Chapel in the Vatican. According to the New American, Martin confirmed that the ceremony did indeed occur as he had described. I quote, "Oh yes, it is true, very much so," unquote. The magazine reported he said, quote, "But the only way I could put that into print is in novelistic form." Priest Malachi Martin said, more members of the clergy are becoming aware of this situation. An archbishop several years ago also accused high members of the hierarchy in Rome of practicing Satanism. The Italian newspaper Tempo and other major daily papers reported this stunning news. Here is the actual pictures of the article. In Windswept House, Martin was quite explicit about the conditions in the Vatican, opening the novel with the above-mentioned satanic ritual. In it, Satan was formally enthroned in the Vatican in the Chapel of St. Paul. Priest Malachi Martin never recanted any of his claims that the scene in Windswept House was based on an actual satanic ritual in the Vatican in the first days of the reign of Pope Paul VI, nor that there exists a general satanic conspiracy within the Roman Catholic Church. Our faith should be placed on what Jesus taught us in Revelation 17 and 18. Revelation 14 verse 8, and another angel follows, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. To fall means to turn away from Bible truth and the worship of the true God. We have this woman called Babylon, pictured in Revelation 17. What does a woman represent in Bible prophecy? Ephesians 5 verse 25, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her. A woman represents a church in Bible prophecy. The harlot of Revelation 17 is described as having the foundation of the Babylonian system, following the authority of man, the word of man, the works of man, the law of man, and the traditions of man. Jesus says in Mark 7 verse 7, Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he said unto them, Full well ye reject the commandments of God, that ye may keep your own tradition. They're worshiping him, but it's all in vain. Why? Because they are teaching for doctrines the commandments of men instead of God's commandments. Here are the identifying marks of Mother Babylon in Revelation 17. Number 1, sits on many waters and spews water. The Babylonian harlot is said to sit on many waters. Revelation 17 verse 1 and 15. What does water represent on Bible prophecy? Revelation 17 verse 15. The waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues. Mother Babylon would have come from a populated area. Sitting on many waters shows that the body of the dragon beast upon which the harlot sits is actually composed of waters over which she rules. It represents the persecution that this church did in the past and in the future. Persecuting waters in Revelation 12 verse 15. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. In this verse, we are informed that the dragon spewed water out of his mouth with the intention of drowning the woman, the pure church. Reading on in verse 16. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Verse 16 states that the persecuting waters were dried up by the earth. After a time of respite, during which the waters are dry, persecution ceases. Number 2, sits on 7 hills. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. Revelation 17 verse 9. Sits is what tense in English? Present tense. So this would have to be a church that is presently seated to this very day upon the city of 7 hills. The headquarters of Mother Babylon is built upon the 7 hills or mountains. Number 3, official colors, purple and scarlet. John 19 verse 5. Then Jesus came forth, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said unto them, Behold the man. Purple and scarlet are the colors of royalty. Number 4, commits fornication with the kings of the earth. Revelation 17 verse 1 and 2. Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Just like in the Old Testament, Israel apostatized and became a harlot by embracing the teachings and practices of the surrounding nations. She embraced the abominations of those nations. She committed fornication with the kings of those nations. This church is not faithful to her husband Jesus. She adopts worldly traditions and customs while claiming to worship Jesus. Number 5, guilty of blasphemy. Revelation 17 verse 3 describes the harlot full of names of blasphemy. They responded, For a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, and because you being a man make yourself God. Jesus was reprimanded for blasphemy because he, in their view, being a man, made himself God. In fact, Jesus not only claimed to be God, he also claimed to work the works of God. Mother Babylon is guilty of blasphemy. Number 6, sits on a purple scarlet beast. Revelation 17 verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. In Revelation chapter 17, Jesus depicts the church representing the harlot and state representing the beast as separate entities, though related. The woman is astride the beast, which signifies that the church is in control of the state. Number 7, decked with jewels. And the woman was decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. First of all, it means that this will be a very wealthy church. The harlot is attired with gold, silver, precious stones, and pearls. This indicates that this is a very rich and ostentatious power. Number 8. She has a golden cup with wine. Revelation 17 verse 4, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. The golden cup in the harlot's hand contains the wine of Babylon. The wine is identified as her abominations and filthiness of her fornication. This wine is given to all nations, that is to say, to all the inhabitants of the earth. It is not the choice of the nations to drink this wine. Drinking the wine is not optional, because we are told that Babylon has made all nations drink of the wine, and that all nations were made drunk with it. The wine is called the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That is, drinking the wine causes wrath against those who are not willing to drink. Number 9. She has daughters. This harlot is called the mother of harlots and of the abomination of the earth. If she is the mother, then she must have harlot daughters who do her bidding. The daughters are also called the false prophets. Revelation 2:20-23, indeed I will cast her into a sick bed, and those who commit adultery with her into great tribulation, unless they repent of their deeds. I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he who searches the minds and hearts. Here are the evidences of the papacy as the harlot church. Evidence number 1, the papacy sits on many waters. Water in Bible prophecy represents people, multitudes, and tongues. The geographical location of the papal power is in Rome, Italy, in the heart of Western Europe. In Revelation 12 verse 15, we are informed that the dragon spewed water out of its mouth for 1,260 years with the intention of drowning the woman, which represents the remnant people of God. The papacy ruled for 1,260 years, from 538 AD to 1798. This persecuting water in verse 15 represents the persecution and the 50 million lives destroyed by the Roman Church over matters of religious conviction. That the Church of Rome has shed more innocent blood than any other institution that has ever existed among mankind will be questioned by no Protestant who has a competent knowledge of history. In verse 16, it says that after a time of respite during the waters are dry, persecution ceases. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon has spewed out of his mouth. The rule of the papacy began in 538 AD, when the last of the three opposing Arian kingdoms was uprooted. Its rule continued until 1798, when Napoleon's general Berthier took the Pope captive with the hopes of destroying Pope Pius VI and the political power of the papacy. This period of time is an exact fulfillment of the 1,260-year prophecy. Evidence number 3, papacy's official colors are purple and scarlet. Here's a photograph of those blood-red shoes. Lawrence Cunningham, professor of theology at the University of Notre Dame, considered the master of Catholic trivia, offers more insights of why the pontiff favors the color in a conversation with Michelle Norris. This is NPR News, April 17, 2008. The color red commemorates the blood of martyrdom, the shedding of blood. The head of the office of the Inquisition for some 25 plus years is now the Pope, who chooses to wear blood-red shoes. There is a lot of symbolism in that. That's why the Bible said that this church will be drunken with the blood of the saints. That's even symbolized by the color of the shoes worn by the Pope. Revelation 17 verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. The woman or the church is dressed in what colors? Purple and scarlet. And there are purple and scarlet in the same photograph. Those have always been the official colors of the Church of Rome. It is also worthy of note that the garments that are used by the papal clergy do not include blue. In Scripture, blue is a symbol of God's holy law. Speak to the people of Israel and tell them to make blue on the tassels of each corner, and it shall be a tassel for you to look at and remember all the commandments of the Lord. Evidence number 7. A very wealthy, independent church. And the woman was decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. The wealth of Rome is simply beyond computation. Rome owns more gold, silver, precious stones, artistic work, real estate, and wealth globally than any other nation on earth. And yet, it's the smallest nation on earth. And on the back of this coin, we have an inscription of a woman holding a cup. If you look carefully, what is inside the cup? The sun. You can see where the wine cup of Babylon with the sun inside it, showing the importance of the sun in the worship of Rome. By the way, which day did Rome give to the Christian world to worship on? Sunday, day of the sun. Evidence number 8, the papacy's intoxicating false doctrines. The golden wine cup represents the intoxication of false doctrine. The harlot's abomination includes several things: idol worship, Deuteronomy 7, 25 and 26. Spiritualism, or attempting to speak to and with the dead, refusing to hear God's law. Spiritual adultery, Ezekiel 23, 35 to 45. Eating unclean meats, Deuteronomy 14, verse 3. Shedding innocent blood, Ezekiel 22, verse 2. Sun worship. Rome is truly the inhabitants of demons because of what we saw in Revelation 17 and 18. And Jesus taught us to watch and pray, be vigilant, and avoid the false teachings, the wine of Babylon. But rather be pure in heart, be pure in our doctrines and way of life. If this video had been eye-opening and helpful, kindly share and like this video and type in the comments our decision: I will not forsake Jesus. Thank you, dear friends, for watching Truth and Bible Prophecy. God bless.